Here are 8 AI skills that separate winners from losers in 2026. Everyone is scared AI will replace them. You see people building apps in minutes and making massive amounts of income on Instagram and Twitter while you're stuck feeling overwhelmed and not sure what to do, where to start, what tools to use, and what to learn. But the truth is, you don't need to be a tech genius or a coder to win. You just need 8 specific skills to future proof your career and start a business venture that generates meaningful amounts of revenue. I've analyzed the top 0.1% of AI users, the ones who are actually making money, not just talking about it, and they all do these 8 things I'm going to walk you through. The beautiful thing is, none of these 8 things require a computer science degree. Before we dive in, my name's Sabrina Ramonov. I built and sold an AI company for millions of dollars, and now I teach millions of people AI for free. So hit like, hit subscribe, and drop a comment if you like this video. I'm going to walk through all 8 skills, and they're in a very specific order. The first 3 skills are fundamental and foundational. They are not specific to AI. They are skills that will serve you well throughout your entire career, no matter what you decide to do, whether it's in AI or not. The next 2 skills are specific to AI and prompt engineering and interacting with models like ChatGPT. And then the next 3 skills, 6, 7, 8, the last 3, are all about building with AI. Let's dive in. Skill number 1 is skepticism. Now, I know a lot of people click this video because of the clickbait title. That's the purpose of it. However, you probably scroll Instagram or Twitter and see all kinds of titles like, I'm 20 years old and here's how I make 50K per month. I'm 23 years old and the first 100 days of learning AI, I made $500,000. These are clickbait titles and hooks. And the problem is, if you don't develop a really strong muscle of skepticism, of like literally not believing these claims, you're going to fall prey to shiny object syndrome. You're just going to click on every single one of these things that you see and actually believe it, even though at least half the time these claims are false. So I truly believe in the AI space where all of the content is made to make you feel like you're falling behind. All of this content you're consuming is engineered to make you feel like you're incompetent, inadequate, behind everybody else, too slow, etc. You really have to develop a strong muscle of skepticism. That's the only way you're going to be able to continue learning useful things, continue building and learning from other people, but not jumping into every shiny new object, not believing every single income claim because they're probably exaggerated anyway. And so no other AI influencer is going to tell you this, but the number one thing you should develop is when you see a headline like, here are the 5 AI skills you need to make $1 million in 2026, your very first reaction instantly should be skepticism. Like, I literally do not believe this. Even when people are skeptical of me, I'm like, good, I appreciate your skepticism. That is the standard position that you should operate with in the world, because people are going to claim all sorts of stuff. They're going to throw all sorts of information at you. By the way, even including AI models like ChatGPT, they're just going to like say all kinds of things to you. Don't just believe it because someone is saying to you. Dig in, ask questions, like think about whether it makes sense, cross-check, cross-reference. For example, if ChatGPT is telling you something that doesn't make sense, go check with Gemini, go check with Claude, go check with DeepSeek. Just like if you see crazy income claims like this or something that just seems too good to be true, cross-reference it. Go find past clients who can validate these claims, right? Before you dive into every single piece of hype. Now, the symptom of this. So how do you know if you really are struggling with this? Okay. You pay for 50 different AI tools and you barely use any of them, but you kept watching videos saying, buy this, buy that, buy this, and also we're going to do this and that and that. But you never actually did anything productive with any particular tool. So this is one symptom. Another symptom is if you just feel behind all of the time. Honestly, At that point, my honest advice is to get off social media, like a detox for a full 3 weeks, and use that time to really develop that muscle of skepticism. Like I said at the beginning, the first three skills are foundational. This will serve you in everything you do for the rest of your life. Okay. That's why I'm starting with the first three. And I'm so passionate about the first three. And they are more important than ever because of all of the hype and misinformation and misleading claims within the AI space right now. Number 2 is to learn how to love learning. I know this sounds super cheesy, but this is one of the biggest differentiators from the people who are absolutely crushing it and making it look effortless and natural, like they just breathe success versus most people who are struggling. Okay, so what do I mean by this? I can tell when somebody does not love learning, like they've forgotten the joy of learning because the questions they ask me are usually like, how do I make money as fast as possible? And while I sympathize with where that question's coming from, I know there's a lot of financial pain and struggle right now in this crazy economy, right? But when you operate from this vantage point, you're putting so much pressure on yourself to figure it out in such a unreasonable tiny period of time. And you're like all about chasing the money instead of taking a step back, playing with AI, allowing yourself room to breathe, and you're kind of constricting yourself, constraining yourself from all the possibilities that are out there. And so, what you'll notice for the people who are absolutely crushing it at the top of their game, they love learning new stuff all the time. And by the way, we're in AI, new stuff comes up every single hour. If you don't love learning, another symptom of it is that every time a new tool comes out, or a new piece of news comes out, this is supposed to be a newspaper, you freak out. You're like, "Oh, no, I'm behind already," right? Going back to the step 1, skepticism. You feel behind, you feel stressed that you have to, like, learn this new tool, and the stuff you learned already goes out the window. Like, you feel stressed by the rapid pace of advancement in AI because you don't want to learn new stuff. You don't want to have to relearn the things you have already learned. So my advice for you to develop this skill, to learn to love learning, I know this is really hard, but step 1 is kind of letting go of the rapid income expectations. Like, please don't expect to watch this video and dramatically change your income situation in 30 days. Don't expect that for any video. To be honest with you, it takes a way longer time horizon than that to achieve the success you are typically seeing on social media. And then number 2 is actually to play with AI tools. So what do I mean by that? Instead of like opening a tool like ChatGPT, you have your prompt inbox and you just type one thing in there, okay? And you're stressed about, am I learning it the right way? Am I doing prompting the correct way? Instead of being stressed about all of those things, literally turn off social media, turn off everything that's telling you how to be a certain way, and just give yourself 30 minutes or an hour to play with the AI tool. And what I mean by that is just literally do whatever you want. Like click around all the buttons. Like imagine you're just a kid and like this is new. Like what would your kid literally do? In fact, if you want to see how kids are so much less restrained than adults, sit your kid down with a new AI tool and just be like, "Hey, here you go." Like play around with it and watch them. Like I literally did this with my 10-year-old niece and like she just clicks around here, types some stuff here, hits enter, sees what happens, types some more stuff, sees what happens. Like don't have any expectations going into it and go with that mindset of just playing around with it, seeing what it can do. And in the process, as you do that more and more, you will start to redevelop that love for learning, which is so, so important in a space that moves so quickly that you are basically learning new things all the time. You're going to be super, super stressed if you stay in that fixed mindset where you are terrified of every update because you have to learn something new. Essential skill number 3 is to learn in public. So you may have heard the phrase build in public before. That's like a startup mantra, like, hey, build in public, share what you're doing, share all these things about your startup, and that will help you attract customers. I actually think that is not very effective at all. What is more effective, especially in building your personal brand, is distribution, is learning in public. So what I mean by that is, let's say you learned a new AI tool, okay? You learned 3 things that you can do with it. Maybe you followed along some YouTube tutorials, or you just dove into the tool, clicked around, and some cool things happened, and you were really impressed by that. That's great. So then what you wanna do is take these 3 things that you've learned and go talk about it on social media. It doesn't matter whether it's TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. The most important thing here is developing the habit of learning something, right? Here are the 3 nuggets that we learned, and then sharing what you learned on social media. And you don't have to do any posturing. So a lot of people make this mistake of like that they have to posture and that they're an expert and all these things. And so they feel imposter syndrome, they get in their head, all of these things. Don't do any posturing. Just tell the truth. Just say, hey, this is my situation. Maybe you work at home, maybe you were just let go from your last job, maybe you're a student, whatever. Just say your situation and say, hey, I started looking into learning this AI tool because dot, dot, dot. And I found out that you can do this with it. Boom. Here's how to do this simple thing using this AI tool. Boom, make a TikTok video, 30 seconds, sharing what you learned. Maybe you have a green screen or a video, maybe you have some screenshots of the product, whatever. But this is the habit you want to develop. I call it learn in public instead of build in public. Because the most effective teacher, anyway, is not someone who's like 5,000 miles ahead of you. It's typically someone who's a couple steps ahead of you because they were just there. They can explain things in a way that help you grasp the most important things because they were just in your situation not a very long time ago. So instead of thinking about build in public, oh, I have to like build this thing first and then I can start posting content. Don't do that. Don't wait for that. Just learn something, like learn anything, even if it's a cool prompt. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people interested in just cool chat GPT prompts and sharing them. Like literally make a video on TikTok or Instagram or whatever platform and say, this is a cool prompt I tried. My original motivation for trying it was to solve this problem, dot, dot, dot. Here's the prompt. Let me know what you get. You know, really not very complicated, but a lot of people fear rejection. They fear building a brand in public, but I can tell you it's truly one of the highest ROI activities that you can invest in. So, just to recap the 3 foundational skills, I realize that this is not specific to AI, but these 3 things are so important. I cannot honestly make a list like this without first emphasizing and focusing on these fundamental foundational skills that will serve you well for the rest of your life, regardless of what you decide to pursue. Now, the next 2 skills are focused on how do you actually use AI to 10x yourself, to improve yourself, to make yourself smarter, to identify blind spots you haven't thought about, to learn new topics very, very quickly and start asking smart questions. How do you actually use ChatGPT or whatever your favorite AI tool to improve yourself? Okay, skill number 4 is context engineering. Now, you may have heard of the term prompt engineering. Context engineering is basically the next evolution of that concept. The reason for the difference in terminology is whereas prompt engineering, that term tends to emphasize the prompt itself, whereas you're going to get very different and more detailed answers if you focus more on the context that you're providing to the AI tool, regardless of how the prompt itself is structured. The more context you provide, the better tailored answers you're going to get from AI tools. So let's talk about what that means in a templated format. So if you open your AI tool like ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever, most people will prompt it in a very basic way. So it's like, write me a marketing plan about dog treats. Like that is literally the prompt that probably 99% of AI users would use. Like, write me a marketing plan about dog treats. One sentence, very generic. The output is very generic. It's not particularly detailed or specific to your situation, your geography, your specific offer, or anything like that. And yet, that's how 99% of people prompt AI, like even in 2026. Okay. So, what I want you to take away from this video is just a very simple template that I use, and I don't use it like strictly, like you don't have to use it exactly. I'm just giving you an easy template because it's super easy to memorize, and I kind of just, tweak it as needed depending on what my goal is for that session. So the template's really simple. So number one, you just start with you are a, let's say, 1% expert in blank field. So let's say for tech startups, you are a 1% experts in building SaaS tech products. Okay. So you're giving AI a role here. Number two is just provide the context of your situation. So if you're building a product, hey, here's what my product does. Here's where our revenue is. Here's my highest retention user base. Here are the things I'm struggling with in my business. Here's how much runway we have left. Feed in context about your business here. The third section is constraints. Maybe there are verticals, for example, that you don't want to play in. Maybe you only have 5 months of runway left, and that's like a very big constraint in the universe of options that you could possibly do. Maybe you have a very limited amount of cash to invest in new experiments or new ventures or new marketing channels, right? So, whatever your constraints are for you, the problem that you're looking for help with, write those constraints down. And then the next step is just ask me clarifying questions. I'll type it here. And this is a basic template for how to structure your prompts. So you're a top 0.1% experts in tech startups. Here's everything about my tech startup so that you have context and can make me highly personalized, tailored suggestions. Here are my constraints. For example, like I never want to do anything in healthcare due to the HIPAA requirements. I don't want to touch anything in financial services because of the sensitive data. Whatever your constraints are, put them here. And then the very last line in your prompt, I'll usually do something like ask me clarifying questions until you're 95% confident in your answer. Another variation of that is ask me clarifying questions one at a time until you're 95% confident in your recommendation. So let's say I'm asking ChatGPT, like, how would you approach this marketing problem? Like, I am trying to crack a marketing channel. Here's what I've tried so far. I don't know what to do next. Ask me clarifying questions one at a time until you're 95% confident in your recommendation. So this is a very simple prompt template. And notice here, context is so important. It comes right after the you're 1% expert in this field. And arguably, this is a line of context anyway. All of this, honestly, is context. So if you're not using some kind of like templates like this in your prompting and your context engineering, I highly recommend trying it out. I have a lot more examples on my YouTube channel as well as my newsletter, so make sure to check the description of this video to get those links. So now once you've developed the skill of context engineering, you're much better at providing relevant context within your prompts to AI tools, and as a result, you get way better answers, okay? So once you've mastered that skill, the next one to master is using AI as your sparring partner. What I mean by this is the top 1% of people using AI don't just use it to find answers. In fact, they use it to find the questions they should have been asking. And that is how you collaborate with AI to make yourself smarter, to uncover your blind spots and force yourself to consider things, think about things that you were previously not looking at all. So instead of just accepting AI's answers, you're going to spar with it. You're going to tell AI, hey, be my critic, be my coach, and this is supposed to be a boxing glove. You're going to tell AI, be my critic, be my coach, be a skeptical investor, for example, and tear my idea apart. Okay, find all the blind spots, find the risks, find the weakest areas. What are the assumptions I'm making that aren't backed by data? That's one of my favorite ones. Okay, you're going to use your AI sparring partner to beat up your own thought process. And that is how you use AI to 10x yourself. So instead of generic feel good answers from ChatGPT, this will completely transform how you interact with AI. Like the way I interact with AI is by sparring. So I'll say, hey, here's my idea. here's all the context, right, from the previous skill we built of context engineering. And then the sparring part is specifically telling AI to be my critic, to be brutally honest, to rip apart my idea, find my weak spots, find my blind spots, etc. And you can start with a very simple prompt like that. Like, based on everything you know about me and the idea that I've just shared, rip it apart, analyze the weakest areas, etc. Okay, the last three skills I'm going to talk about are the new AI tech stack. Okay, number six is vibe coding. And if you don't know what it is, it's basically coding apps with plain English. So before you'd have to write in a coding language and you'd learn it and it has syntax and all of these rules. It's not English. Today, you can type a sentence in plain English, like build me a website for my dog training company, and AI will interpret your English and then create a code base out of it. So you can do things like build landing pages, websites, interactive calculators, lead magnets, simple web apps, and simple mobile apps just in plain English. So you don't have to go through 4 years of schooling just to figure out how to spin up some of these simpler things. So before vibe coding, the norm was spending a lot of time and money to build products. Like typically anywhere from like 5 to 15,000 to build something. Okay, 3 to 6 months to build that first version, and honestly, very high risk of failure because you're putting all of your eggs in just one version of your product and it's taking this long to do it, and you might run out of budget. You might not have the budget to make lots of iterations until you figure out the right thing to build. Okay, but with AI and vibe coding, it has totally compressed the timeline and cost. So instead of paying 5 to 15K, you might pay up to like 1K in tokens, okay, to vibe code your simple web app or simple mobile app instead of 3 to 6 months. Especially if you're non-technical, it will still take some time, but let's say 3 to 6 weeks, still a massive compression. Obviously, if you have some technical skill, it can you can compress this time even more, but I'm just gonna put a very generous timeline so you're not discouraged if it doesn't work in 2 days, right? And then the risk of failure goes down because you have more shots at goal. You get more reps in. You literally have more energy to try more things because we've compressed the timeline and we've compressed the cost. So typically in this old version, you know, you'd maybe have an amazing product idea, hire someone, maybe someone offshore or freelancer to help you with this. It would cost a lot of money, take a lot of time, and by the end of 6 months, you've moved on to other initiatives. You don't even have the energy to try something new, right? But now with vibe coding, you can try a lot of different things as small experiments. You get more shots at goal, which is what leads to a higher success rate. So vibe coding is really powerful. Even if you are not trying to build a mobile app or a web app, I really encourage everyone, like even if you have no technical background, I encourage everyone to try to build something, whether it's a simple website, a super simple app. For example, a few weeks ago, I sat my 10-year-old niece down. She has zero coding experience, zero technical experience. I showed her a vibe coding tool, and in 2 hours, she coded a Japanese language learning app because she's currently obsessed with learning Japanese. And then she also coded a personal diary app that she had so much fun coding, and it was really cool to see her eyes light up with the possibility of what you can build today. And so even if you're non-technical, even if you're not seriously trying to build a mobile app or product, I really recommend everybody dabble in vibe coding. Like just try it out for 2 hours. This goes back to skill number two, learning to love learning. I think vibe coding is probably like one of the best ways to kind of relax a little bit and play and encourage your creativity to come back out with respect to AI. So literally open a vibe coding tool. There's a billion. So emergent.sh, Lovable, Bolt.new, Replit, Base 44, whatever. Just choose one, choose the cheapest one, doesn't matter, and start building something. And the key to getting started is to Boil down your idea to one simple sentence. You don't want to start by trying to build a super complex app. You're going to get discouraged. You don't know what's going on in the code base anymore. So I encourage you to just think about one simple idea. So going back to the example of my 10-year-old niece, she literally prompted, "Hey, I want to build a language learning app for Japanese. I want it to include vocabulary and pronunciation and like common phrases." Her prompt was literally 2 sentences, okay? And AI interpreted those 2 sentences and built out a whole functioning Japanese language learning app in literally under 2 hours. So, definitely do that, but simplify your idea so that it's something buildable. Number 7 is more technical, but it's really what separates the people who are absolutely crushing it with AI in 2025 and 2026 versus everybody else who's struggling. It's building AI systems. So, as an example of this in customer service, let's say you have a customer support request come in, and maybe you're really good at context engineering and sparring, which is what the earlier skills we talked about were. Okay, so you drop the support ticket into ChatGPT and you use ChatGPT to help you draft a response. That's great, but the problem is you have to do it manually for every support ticket that comes in, right? So here's what an AI system would look like instead. And this is just one example of an AI system. I'm just trying to use a specific example so you can clearly visualize what I'm talking about. The difference between manually going to ChatGPT every single time to get a draft response versus an AI system that works 24/7 on autopilot, drafting those responses for you. So a customer support ticket comes in to your AI system. Okay. And then AI here reads the customer support ticket, analyzes, hey, what's the customer's issue or question? Maybe it's about billing, maybe they're having some issues related to that. Okay. Then AI taps into what's called like your knowledge base. It's basically all the information about your company and product. So maybe you've already taught ChatGPT that information, but now AI can tap into it and retrieve relevant context from the knowledge base. That's that keyword again, context and context engineering. And then what AI does is it thinks. It based on the customer's question, based on everything I know about your company, product and offer, past support tickets and commonly asked questions, okay, it's going to think and then come up with a response and send it back to your customer. Typically in a matter of seconds. This is not something that's slow and unrealistic to implement. AI can do this in a matter of seconds and return very intelligent answers. In fact, AI can even interact with the tools you use for your business. So, for example, my AI support bot can interact with my billing system to automatically process refunds, restart trials, recreate subscriptions, all kinds of messy things. So it can actually interact with your systems, which could be a CRM, it could be a billing system, the knowledge base, like we talked about, or any other kind of system. And so this is really powerful because it works 24/7. Okay. Even when you're asleep, it's there answering questions. Okay. You can always have a path to escalate to a human. So my AI knows if someone's like getting really frustrated, it's supposed to say, "I'm sorry, I failed to help you. I'm going to escalate this to Sabrina. She's typically available between these hours," right? So we're not saying never talk to your customer again, but we have a clear escalation path if AI is not able to resolve the question. So the key takeaway here is like instead of having to go to ChatGPT every single time and you paste in the support ticket and then ChatGPT helps you with the draft, that's great for getting started. But to actually scale and absolutely crush it, the skill you want to develop is building AI systems. And it doesn't have to be workflow automations. I know that's been a popular term for the past couple years, but with the rise of Claude Code, oftentimes I find myself skipping the building out workflow automations and just having Claude Code build me an agentic system to do like quite complex things. And there are many other use cases as well. I just talked about customer support, but you could build AI systems to help you generate contents. You could build AI systems to help you repurpose contents across multiple channels. Okay. You could build an AI system to rank in SEO or AEO, Ask Engine Optimization. You could build an AI system to help you come up with marketing. You could build an AI system that automatically analyzes your competitors on a daily basis and gives you a report on what they do. So, the key idea behind AI systems is being able to build something that works even when you step away. And it's incredibly valuable as a skill to be able to build these systems. Just keep in mind, though, is it does typically take work to maintain them. Like I spend a lot of time improving my AI customer support system, but it's also what's allowed me to scale myself to be able to support thousands and thousands of users for my product. And then the last skill I'm going to talk about will surprise you. Pretty sure no one else considers this a skill, but it's documentation, because documentation is what underlies AI systems that actually work well in production. Okay, so if you think about the old way of doing things and documentation, I mean, most companies had no documentation. Like maybe a few Google Docs lying around that somebody wrote, but nobody actually follows. Nobody wants to read those. Maybe you had some Loom videos showing do this, do this, do that. You sent it to people when they first joined, but then nobody ever looks at it again, right? So most companies traditionally have no or near zero documentation that is maintained up to date and high quality. Okay. But the reason why documentation is so important in the age of AI is because it's basically your AI's brain. Like, how does AI know about your business or products? Well, that's through the documentation you give it. You can think of it as an extension of the term context engineering. So we talked earlier about how context engineering is such a critical skill that instead of emphasizing like the exact prompt you're writing, it's really more about the context you're providing to AI that will get you way better answers. And it's the same here. So documentation, honestly, is just another word for context. Like, what does your company do? What does a product do? How are the features supposed to work? What are the most common issues people are having? How are you supposed to troubleshoot certain steps or certain issues? AI's intelligence and how well it works and how well it scales is a function of the quality of your documentation, which is why it's so important. This is generally how I think about leverage in the age of AI. It's a function of your skill times your clarity. In the context of an AI system fails if it doesn't know the rules, if things are not clear, if it's lacking clarity. So think about this like, let's say you're onboarding a new hire and you want to give them a task. How would you explain this task to your brand new employee? Okay, step by step, what is the context you would give the employee for how to perform this task successfully and write that down? Like that is your documentation. Okay. And it's worth investing in because, again, the quality of your AI systems, their ability to run without having to troubleshoot them, without them breaking all the time, without them giving, false answers or incorrect answers to your customers, it's a function of the quality and accuracy of your documentation. And that's why I put it as number 8 on the list. I know it can sound really boring, but if you develop the skill of documenting what you're supposed to do in certain situations, you're going to be able to build so many high quality AI systems that actually save you time and aren't a complete nightmare to maintain. Okay, so just to recap all the skills we talked about, skepticism, because you're going to see so much clickbait and so much misleading stuff out there that's going to distract you from staying focused. Okay, so be skeptical in the age of AI. Be skeptical when AI talks to you. Don't believe its answer at face value. Dig in, ask questions. Number 2, love learning. I know that's really hard and it sounds cheesy, but the people who are growing with AI are the people who just enjoy learning about it. Like, you will just learn so much faster and more deeply if you just enjoy the process a little bit and just relieve the pressure or in your brain mentally turn off the voice in your head that is all about making money as fast as possible. Number 3, learn in public. You don't have to have everything figured out. Just learn something small and then make a social media post sharing what you learned so that you can teach other people too. This is an incredible way to build your brand, and your brand is incredible leverage for distribution. Number 4, context engineering. Instead of like focusing so much on the exact words of your prompt, focus more on what is the context that you're providing to AI to give you answers. Number 5, using AI as your sparring partner. Instead of using ChatGPT to give you answers, use it to rip apart what you think are the answers. So if you think your strategy is well formed for 2026, ask AI to rip it apart, find weak spots, find your blind spots, figure out the questions you should have been asking in the first place. And then the more technical set of AI skills are basically vibe coding, so using plain English to build websites, web apps, micro apps, etc. And building AI systems. My favorite tool for this, by the way, is Claude Code in 2026. Highly recommend investing in learning it. But this is really what scales people who are crushing it in 2026, the ability to build AI systems that work well. Well, how do you get AI systems that work well? It's a function of the quality of your documentation. Can you clearly explain what this AI system is supposed to do? If you can, great, write that down. That's your documentation. This is the brain of your AI, and it's so, so important in order to have an AI system that's working well. So, just to recap, the gap between winners and losers isn't coding ability or which AI tools they're using. Honestly, those are minutia. They are details. You can succeed without any coding experience, and you can succeed using whatever AI tool that you choose. But at the end of the day, I talked about this formula earlier. The amount of leverage that you get from AI is a function of your skill and clarity. That's the formula. It comes down to the clarity of your thought and how fast can you acquire new skills in public, meaning you share what you learn. You acquire a new skill, you learn a new thing, and then you turn around and share it with other people. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions on this list, drop a comment below and hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell button so you get notified every time I drop a new tutorial. Thanks for watching.